Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. Really nice night here on Monday as I'm recording this. 2.5 units up on the day there in the couple games that we saw here. Great win by those Knickerbockers and the Timberwolves with maybe the best playoff performance that I can remember in recent history here in the postseason. Thrashed the Nuggets in Denver to go up 2-0. Still got a couple bets right from there. So like I said, nice 2.5 day unit up on Monday. Going to be looking at best bets here for Tuesday with a couple series that tip off. The Thunder are going to be hosting the Mavs as well as the Celtics playing host to those Cavaliers now. So we'll be looking at some best bets in this one. I'll run through the record and how we did today on Monday at the end of the video if you want to stick around and check that out. But for now, let's get right into these bets. Kicking it off with a little same game parlay that I feel very comfortable with. So I wanted to take the Celtics to go ahead and win that first half on the money line, and we got Jaylen Brown to get 5 first quarter points or more, minus 135 on DraftKings for a full unit there. And it's because these two things happen so frequently that this is what I felt most comfortable with as we sort of dive into this series and try to see how these matchups are going to work out between the Cavs and the Celtics. But if you look at Boston, something we can rely upon that has been very reliable in the playoffs and certainly in the regular season as well, 60-22 against the spread in the first half. And they're winning those first halves at home specifically, where they'll be playing this one, by 8.7 points per game in the first half, right? In the playoffs here, no matter which building they're in, 16.2 is the margin of victory that they're leading at the half by when they were playing this Miami Heat team. The Cavs probably slightly better than the Heat, although I don't think they're that much better, if we're being honest. So I do think this is going to be another situation where the Celtics are just at home and they're going to do what they do in the first half, which is come out very, very hot and maintain that lead from the first quarter into the second quarter as well. And to be honest, I would be on blowout watch if I was a Cavs fan, worried about this Celtics team laying the hammer on them, because this is going to be what they do. They seem very focused right now. And part of that focus is Jaylen Brown, who is a bully in the first quarter and takes about 5 or 6, sometimes 7 shots already in these playoffs in the first quarter. And this has been his moment to shine. And honestly, it's kind of been the same way with Jason Tatum as well. Both these dudes really taking it to the other team in the first quarter. But if you look at Brown, he's done this in all 5 of the playoff games. And also he's done it in 80% of the games that he's played in the first quarter this season. 60 of the 75 games that he participated in, he went 5 or more points in the first quarter. This core line for his first quarter bet is at 6.5 points, but I trimmed it down. I just took the money line and the 5+ points, really safe bet here for a full unit, because I really do want to feel out this series a little bit more before I just start diving into stuff. I do believe we learned a decent amount from the regular season, but at the same time, there was a game in there where Dean Wade hit 6 threes in the fourth quarter or whatever it was for the Cavs to come back in unprecedented fashion against the Celtics team. Not saying that that's going to be the norm moving forward. I think the Celtics will handle business for the most part. At most, we see this thing go 5, but I want to weigh out these matchups a little bit, individual matchups on the floor especially, before I start going in on too many bets for this series. So we're going to let game 1 happen, but I do have one more play for this game 1. It's a little plus money bet for Jason Tatum to get his rebounds over 9.5. I'm taking it for half a unit here on FanDuel because, like I said, get my full unit back plus another 6 cents or so on every dollar you spend. And really, this is a situation where JT is going to be playing without KP. And really, he was already in a good spot to get rebounds. I was taking he and Jaylen Brown to get their rebounds in the last series because of where Joe Mazzulla has them on the floor on defense. Like, he's really hiding these two dudes. Not that they couldn't guard guys, but he's sort of hiding them from having to try too hard on defense so that they can really bring it on offense. So I do think we're going to see Tatum and Brown being a little bit more free safety, playing sort of a low zone, if you will. I mean, it's not going to be a zone, but they're really not going to be chasing guys around the top of the key very often. I definitely see them guarding guys that are going to be a little bit less likely to get the ball in their hands out in space, which is going to keep them closer to the basket. If Jared Allen plays, which is a big if, but if he plays, we're going to see Tatum probably on Evan Mobley, might see Jaylen Brown. Those are the matchups that I'm not really sure about yet, especially because Mobley missed a game or two in the regular season series between these two teams. So I kind of really need to see both teams at full strength to understand what the individual matchups are going to be, which is so important for rebounds. That said, didn't really matter who Tatum was guarding in this last series, as he was a monster on the boards. And especially in those last 2 games when KP went out, he had 16 rebound chances in both of the games that Kristaps didn't play a single second in. And that was a huge reason why he went over in 4 of 5 versus Miami. And the only under was a blowout. It was that game 2. It wasn't even really a blowout. It's game 2. What I mean by blowout is Miami wasn't missing shots. Miami hit pretty much everything in that game. They shot like 50% from 3 on like 42 threes that they took. I think they hit 20 or 21 of them, right? So there weren't that many rebounds to go around in the first place. And then Tatum and Brown ended up sitting at the end of the fourth because of the fact that that game was kind of out of control at that point. And really, he already did this in all 3 games versus Cleveland. Like, he was very successful getting boards. One of those games had no Evan Mobley. The other ones did, right? And so there's still really good precedence for Jason Tatum to get these boards in previous games versus the Cavs, especially based on where he's playing defense. And if you look at the Cavs, missed shots equals more rebounds for the other team. And I gotta be honest, I still don't believe in this Cavs offense. As bad as it was against the Magic, I only think it's going to get worse against this Celtics squad with that defense on the perimeter with Drew Holiday, Derek White, as we know, these 2 dudes down low, and Al Horford definitely not a slob on defense. He's going to be somebody that can handle his own, even at the age of 38 or so for Papa Al. Still really like his chances to be able to guard a guy like Evan Mobley with some tricks up his sleeve. So if that's the case, if Jared Allen's out, but either way, Tatum should be in really good rebounding position all game. So we're going to take him to get 10 boards, just a half a unit on that as we kind of, like I said, feel out the matchups of this series. Quick reminder, props.cash, one of my favorite tools, if not my favorite tool, have a partnership going with them now. If you would like 25% off of your first month, so you have that one-stop shop for all your betting information that you're looking for, use code LYB24, get 25% off that month, and you can use this for the rest of this NBA playoffs to see if you like it for next season. Diving into Mavs and Thunder, I wanted to show you the regular season matchups because I wanted to show you that they're not helpful. I really can't gain too much by looking at how these teams played each other during the regular season because they were never at full strength. Well, at least the Mavs were never at full strength. Plus, the Mavs went and got Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington for one of these games, right? So they really didn't have anybody. They didn't have the full roster, I should say, at any given point when they would take on the Thunder this season. First game you look at, OKC wins by 6, but it's a completely different team. Plus, Kyrie didn't play. So you have no Gafford and no Washington. You have Grant Williams playing for the Mavs, and you have no Kyrie Irving. Super unhelpful as we try to look at how we should project props for this game. And then you look at the next game. Okay, full rosters for both games in game 2, but Dallas won by 35. This thing was over at the half. They were up by 20 plus, right? So nobody really played the fourth quarter for either team that really mattered anyway. And there's not quite as much to be gained, although I will say game 2, if you're looking at past games between these two teams this season, for the most helpful way to project what's going to happen in this series, I would say game 2, despite that 35-point blowout, at least you can see who was matched up with who, knowing that both teams were at full strength. Because in these last 2 games, Luka missed that game 3 where the Mavs only lost by 7, impressively enough, because Kyrie also did his thing. And then in game 4, everybody sat for the Mavs. They already had the 5 seed locked up. There was no reason to play anybody. The Thunder were trying to get this 1 seed that they have. So they played everybody and wiped the floor with the Mavs backups, to be fair to the Mavs, right? They won 135-86 in a historic blowout almost to end the season. So nothing really helpful here, but I do have one bet that I'm bringing for this game until we get into that live stream tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. where I'll definitely be finding some more with my buddy Prop Bomb. And that bet is Kyrie to God. Kyrie Irving over 4.5 assists. You really got to drink the juice there, minus 130, meaning it's not a great return on your money. But I still think it's a very likely bet because of matchups and because of what Kyrie's been doing of late. So I'm also, because I hate the fact that it's minus 130 on my money, I am putting a little bit on the ladder here, 0.3 on the 6+ assists at plus 140 on FanDuel. And this is heavily matchup based for Kyrie. Like, it's not just that these dudes who are playing on defense for the Thunder are going to be tailor-made to at least try to stay in front of a dude like Kyrie and keep him from getting all the way to the rim. Also, they're going to be taller than him. So they should be able to at least get a hand up on a lot and contest a lot of his threes. But that also leads to him being in a better position to get assists, right? And it's not just that the individual defenders for OKC are very good. It's also the fact that if you look at all the play type stuff for them, they are very, very good at limiting stuff to the ball handler and not as good at limiting stuff to the spot up shooters and to the guys that Kyrie would be passing to, right? So if you look at their ISO stuff, they're going to be a top 5 defense against ISO ball. If you look at what they do against the pick and roll ball handler, top 5 defense there. They're best in transition as a defense and limiting transition points as well. Another area that Kyrie definitely depends on points a decent amount. He's usually the guy pushing the pace for them. But then if you look at what they're bad at, they give up the 4th most points per game to spot up shooters. That's the Thunder, right? So if you're going to be a ball handling guard like Kyrie, you're going to be in a better position to get assists against this team more so than points. If you look at Courtside Pal, link is in the description of the video, one of my favorite tools to look at player profile versus the team defense that they're going up against. He's got the 4th best playmaking profile when it comes to getting assists versus the Thunder. So everything he's doing as a playmaker is leading to getting the 4th most assists against this team, where they're giving up a ton of them because of the fact that he's such a good playmaker that finds spot up shooters. And this Mavs team, because it's been built around Luka Doncic, is full of spot up shooters, right? And there will be a pretty tough, I imagine, for Luka, he's going to be facing a lot of Lou Dort, right? And I don't think Lou's going to be as good at stopping Luka as he was at Brandon Ingram, but he'll still be the torture chamber. And that means that you're going to probably see either Jalen Williams, maybe we get a little bit more Kayson Wallace in the game, but not going to be the best matchup for Kyrie. He's going to be in a better position to get dimes in this situation than he is points. Like I said, getting all the way to the rim is going to be really tough. And that's been indicative of the way that he's played this team. Now, one of those games had no Luka. He had 12 assists. But in the one game that did have Luka and him together, 13 potential assists, 8 of them turning into actual dimes. And I wanted to make sure that that was the case, because if he was just playing against this team getting, let's say he had like 9 potential assists and got 8 assists, well, that would be a bit of an outlier. But 8 assists on 13 potentials, not an outlier. That's pretty norm for a guy like Kyrie Irving. So we're going to take him to keep it going here with the dimes, as he had a really good time assisting against the Clippers, who are much better, by the way, at limiting assists than this Thunder team. Thunder are one of the worst teams, bottom 10, versus the Clippers, who are top 12 in terms of limiting assists to every other position on the other team. So, but the fact that Kyrie's still been having his success against a much better defense at limiting assists, we're going to take him to stay hot with those dimes and take him on a little bit of a ladder, 4.5, and then also 6+. Quick look at that hot day on Monday. Like I said, 5-3, but plus 2.5 units, because we hit both of our Playa Prop parlays, which was mad fun, and also portioned our units correctly, so that we went 3-3 on the Player Props for plus 0.5 units. But the parlays really carried the day for us. 2-0, plus 2 units on both of those. We had Jalen Brunson to get points, to go under assists, and for the Knicks to pull out the victory, which they did. And then we had the other SGP there was Dante DiVincenzo to go over his points and McBride to go under his points, which I like that bet a lot. Probably still moving forward, because this is much more of a Dante DiVincenzo series against the Pacers than it is a Miles McBride one. Also went under on OG on the live stream there. So if you are tuned into the live stream, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, like I said, then you will be able to make sure you catch every bet, and then also have that Discord if you want to jump in there to get that stuff as well. But final thing I'll show you here is on the year now. Really feeling good about this record. We are now year to date plus 41.2 units, in the playoffs plus 7.9 units. So hoping to keep adding to that as we move forward here to get that year to date up even higher, but really love what we have going here. And that is all the time that I have for you guys in this one. Do want to remind you, we got the Discord, so you do want to jump in there. Link to that is in the description of the video. That is where you make sure that you get those bets nice and early from me and don't have to wait for these videos if you don't want them, although I appreciate you guys subscribing to the page and watching as well. But also having some pretty good conversation in there. I'm getting a lot from the people in there as well. Dudes are throwing me good looks consistently to have me look into it. Really good way to keep interactive and like tap into a really smart betting community of people who know what they're talking about, man. We got people who are watching these games religiously and really making some good bets as a result. So always remember to bet safely. And until I see you next, happy betting.